Okay, man.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to LivLive episode 000021. It is December 10th, in full normal LivLive ways of doing things. We're going to try something a little bit different. So I have the whole, or almost, I have pretty much the entire production team. We're missing Denny, but we have 4 folks from our production team, not just Rob. We also have Jack here and Scott and also Tom. So while it was advertised it was going to be Rob, these guys decided to sabotage me. And they're like, we're going to team up on you, Dave. We're going to bring the whole production team here and tell you everything that is really difficult in the world of building crazy LivCo designs. Does that sound accurate?
Almost. We were, honestly, this is our, we were running late on a production meeting. So once a week we get together as a team and talk about every projects, also future projects. So I knew that since we were running late, I invited them just to stay in this room and jump on this your show, and we'll probably continue our production meeting afterwards too. So it's kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone in a way.
Yeah, I'm wondering, should we just continue the production meeting? What's next on the agenda?
We did think about that. Just pretend you're a fly on the wall in our production meeting. But, might not be all that much of exciting content.
Well, and just to give a little bit of set the table for our viewers a little bit. So Scott, you were just speaking. Will you mind kind of introducing yourself and your role, and then we'll go around the table here a little bit?
Yep. I'm the director of production here at LivCo. I've been here for 7 years. That's it.
Go this way?
Sure.
All right.
Go ahead, Jack.
I'm Jack. I'm an assistant project manager. I've been here for, what was it, 6 months, 7 months? Something like
About
that.
6.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here.
It's awesome.
My name is Tom. I'm a site manager, and I've been here coming up on 11 years.
Wow.
And lastly, I'm Rob. I'm a project manager for LivCo, obviously, 2.5 years now, and really having a lot of fun and building some really neat stuff that Dave draws.
I don't draw too much of it anymore. We have a full design team who is coming up with some crazy ideas. And you guys have all been here kind of different time ranges. I'm curious, does anyone have a craziest non-production proven idea that our team came up with that you had to build or figure out how to build?
I'm guessing we probably all have. I know we had a project recently where Rob really wanted us just to stop and not start building the project because you could see that we had some questions that were unanswered, and kind of told him, I know we're going to figure it out on the fly. And it really took a lot of Rob digging in with our carpenter with the aid of structural engineer. But yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, one of the things that's fun about our job and working in remodeling is, there's a lot of unforeseens on these houses. So, some of these we can look at a plan and just go, something doesn't add up here, and we know we're going to have to figure it out on the fly. But yeah, Rob and our carpenter did a great job of figuring out how to support the roof on a house that we were, a bungalow that we were actually going to put an addition on the 2nd floor with. So that's probably the most recent one I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we especially in these older homes, I've told this story a couple of times. I mean, we have to make a lot of assumptions, but we also have to make the assumption that our assumptions might not be correct, and we have to be prepared for a plan B or even a plan C. With bungalows, I think it was 2 different houses in Riverside that were actually very close to each other, and they were both stucco houses. One we did an addition probably 7 years ago. Another one we did an addition like 2 years ago. So we made the assumptions that they were built in similar ways. They were built completely different. The houses on the exterior seemed the same, but one was balloon framed and the other one was a solid masonry clay tile wall, which we hadn't seen in Riverside before. So we have to adjust, right? The assumptions, if we have to make some, otherwise nothing ever happens. But yeah, there's certainly things that we have to solve in the field. Tom, you might remember this one. Scott, were you around for this one? The tile door.
Yeah, I almost brought that up, but I
was
thought it
gonna
was too.
That was probably one of my
Yeah.
first projects. You guys
It
were
was
already
our
halfway
first
through
and
it.
last. That's what I do now.
A tile door, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we've done. I mean, now you'd use like a Murphy
linen
door hinge,
closet,
but at the
yeah.
time we were just trying this out, and it was like a wood grain tile that was going across, and it was just a linen closet door, a small linen closet door, but we were putting a lot of weight on that linen closet door, and because they were symmetrical, we had to make sure all the grout lines lined up so the door wouldn't sag a little bit. And yeah, that was it seems like every one of our projects, either Dave or his design team throws us a curveball, which again makes it fun and provides us a challenge. So it's stuff like that. Is never done a tile door. I don't know if we're going to do another one again. If we did, I think we've got some different approaches to it, but
We never got a call back, but it cracked.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, that wasn't, well, one of our core values is unique and creative, and we hold that pretty serious, because I think, our clientele come to us because they certainly want something special. It's not necessarily stuff that we're doing. Like I promise you on that project, no one from our team said, what we should do is we should put tile on this door. But there was a design aesthetic and party that shaped up in that bathroom, and the clients are like, well, it feels like this should just be a hidden door within the tile. Can we just make this door tile? And us in our ignorant optimism are like, we've never done that before, but maybe we can figure this out. And we did figure it out. But yeah, it's I think we've talked about it before. Bruce Case in Case Remodeling in DC uses the term production proven. So if it's not production proven, honestly, we don't know how long it's going to take, and we don't know how much it's going to cost. And I think we're trying to get a little bit better at identifying those things. I hope.
Well, that's where you have the right team on the other side of this camera. Is we thrive for those non-production proven items and those challenges to be able to work through and show, hey, we've never done this before, but look what we did.
There you go, another core value, problem solvers, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of our competitors would probably shy away from stuff like that. And, I think we embrace it, and we like the challenge. And sometimes I think our team goes, "We're going to build what?" And lo and behold, we figure it out, and it ends up being a pretty cool feature for us.
On the flip side of that, outside of the stuff that LivCo is shaping as a team or working with our clients as a team, what about the unexpected things that happen in the world of construction, or the schedules that happen? Are there any? I listen to a lot of hockey podcasts, so you like hearing the stories of the pranks or the things that went kind of awry. I mean, I definitely have a couple, but I'm just curious, like, are there any things that we just kind of laugh about now that have happened in the history of LivCo construction team?
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
How about a gravel pile?
Yeah, we did have a gravel pile in front of a house that a passerby decided to drive up on, not on purpose. So that took a little creativity to get the car back off of there. Yeah, forgot about that one. But yes, those are the ones that we just kind of laugh at. I think we had a skid steer stuck in the back of somebody's backyard for almost a month because we got torrential downpours in May, and it got stuck, and it just rained and rained and rained, and there was no way to get this thing out of there. So I don't know. Yeah, there's some goofy stuff like that. Anything you can think of? Yeah, anything you can think of like that?
Oh yeah, we rolled a shed.
We have that somewhere on social media. That was
PVC. Adapt and overcome.
Kind of did like the way we think the pyramids were probably built. We had a monster shed that these clients wanted moved, and we just bought a bunch of PVC pipe and put one pipe in front, rolled it, put another, took one from the back, and not really something that we would think we would be doing as a design build firm, but one of our clients that we're already working on asked if that was possible, and so.
Well,
Usually
we couldn't really get any real equipment back there to move it.
No.
So we had to kind of.
What was the same yard that the skid steer was stuck in, so we probably knew better at that point.
Yeah, that was in concept. That seemed really easy. Was it as easy to execute rolling a shed across how many pieces of PVC pipe? 20?
It did work out. I mean, the way we planned it. So
it went a lot smoother than I thought when we were staring at. We're taking this and putting it over there. You know, it went a heck of a lot smoother than I would have thought.
Yeah, and this was just 2 weeks ago where we had in North Carolina, we had a project where we were waiting on materials, very specialized materials, reclaimed wood beams, for what seemed like eternity for a number of other reasons outside of our control and outside of the manufacturer's control in California. But it took a long time to get them, and they finally showed up, and they're on an 18-wheeler. In a lot of these residential areas, they aren't really designed for an 18-wheeler to pull into the driveway. So I was anticipating planning a tow truck to pull this 18-wheeler out of the ditch, but it worked out. Do you guys probably deal with a lot of, in Chicago's western suburbs, and we don't do too much in the city, but in terms of site access, dumpster locations, just all these things that you don't even think about in the world if you're not in construction, has to be a challenge. Yes?
Site logistics can, especially when homeowners are utilizing their driveways and their property. But you just make those shifts and adjustment as they come. And our Downers Grove project, there was one day I think we had 15 to 20 vehicles lining the driveway in the street, Main Street, 2 blocks away, and trying to get concrete trucks and a pump back there and excavators and all sorts of stuff, and still be able to leave room for the homeowners to get in and out of their house. So that was probably logistically one of the toughest ones recently. But we got through it, and luckily they were understanding when all those big things were happening.
Yeah, it's something probably a little bit more unique to Chicago and our environment is a handful of towns we work in are alley. They have alleys behind the houses and a rear load garage. So you don't have the benefit of having a driveway to set a dumpster on. So it's got to go in the street, which means it's got to have, horses or something blocking it, or at least identifying it. And then you have the challenge of the whole neighborhood thinks it's their dumpster.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of, every once in a while, maybe bake another dumpster into that job site or that budget because the neighbors are going to be utilizing it. But
also have to pull a permit sometimes for a dumpster.
Yeah, some of the towns, although we're already pulling a permit to remodel, they didn't decide to bake the cost of the dumpster into the remodel, so we get to pull a separate permit for our dumpsters as well. It's a good point, Tom.
Yeah, we ran into that challenge at our Brookfield one earlier this year, where we had a dumpster on the street. The only access was not the alley, but for all the workers to park on the street. And of course, Brookfield decides that they're going to replace all the water mains, that entire street.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they're closing down half of it. They got, horses and holes throughout all the street. And we got a dumpster there. We got materials coming in. But luckily, we're able to get through it. We had piles of garbage for a little while that we had to load up in our own vehicles and our company trucks and get to a thing. But luckily, everything went smoothly.
Well, and like you said, Dave, that's, one of our core values is problem solving, work the problem. All of a sudden this happens and, maybe we have to shift somebody the next day. Maybe we have to, carpool from a block away or, get materials delivered at the corner and we carry them down but we do our best to build a tight, efficient schedule. And all of a sudden, you get a snafu like the village is going to decide to tear up the streets the day you're delivering lumber or something like that. So I think that's just a lot of what goes into being a project manager or running these projects efficiently is just when that curveball comes, what do you do? How do you solve the problem?
Well, and you mentioned schedule. So obviously you guys run a schedule for every project. How many projects do we have under construction right now?
5.
5. So five is kind of our sweet spot. That's where we like to be. That allows move all the pieces around. So you're managing projects or schedules for 5 different projects that have a number of different trades that are working on them. So when the schedule changes, it's a bit of a chess game to make sure that the overall schedule is maintained. But then every single one of those different trades also has their own schedule and their own people with their own schedules to manage, right? It's kind of a crazy, it's more than chess. And so I'm kind of curious, especially Chicago isn't known for having the best weather December through March, but how are you guys dealing with the weather so far this year?
Everything exterior is kind of came to a halt the last couple of weeks. Luckily, we had a break for a few days that we can get some masonry work done on one project. But again, they're slow. When they see temperatures at 5 degrees at night, then they have to bring in heaters and scaffolding and plastic and make little heat tents for everything. But it can be challenging, but we take that opportunity once it arises with nicer days. Like today, it's raining and snowy, but the temps are good.
Rainy and snowy. So on your commute in today, it was raining. Now, if you look out the window, it's snowing. So there aren't a whole lot of environments where you get that within a 3-hour window to start your day. Kind of what you were saying, Dave, with the schedules is, my part of my past was production building, and that is, you set a schedule and it pretty much runs its course all the way through. With us, there's so many different variables, like you're saying. We don't have a trade who's just working on a house number 2 that's going to move to house number 3 to house number 4 in a big production development. We have a plumber who's trying to finish up another project he's working on, and it very well might be like ours, like a remodel where he thought it was going to take him 5 days, and then they opened up a wall and they realized they had to replace the stack, and now it's going to take them 7 days. So we've got to make sure we've got a little bit of flexibility in our schedule to be able to adapt to that 2 days and try not to affect every other trade or every other delivery down the line. So that's a shell game or a balancing act that Rob does very well and Tom does very well. Jack's learning his way through it too, but it's a little bit of give and take, understanding, something gets delivered wrong or something gets delayed. How do we adapt and overcome and try to keep things moving? We tell our clients our goal is to make sure we have somebody in that house every day from start to finish. So it's, sometimes it's a shell game of moving a trade in front of another one, which, we don't want to do because now we know we're going to have somebody double back, and we want our trades to be as efficient as possible as well. So, but that's something that a little bit unique with the remodeling world is, we build this schedule at the beginning of the project, but to say it's going to hit every one of those days all the way through is pretty rare.
Yeah, schedules always evolve. They can evolve within an hour. Even after you make a schedule change, it could change, within another phone call that you're going to get in 2 hours later. But we do the best we can to fill in those gaps and like Scott said, move the shelves around and essentially just jockey the schedule around just to keep it flowing in one direction or another. It might be not how we want it to go, but at least we're still moving forward the best that we can.
Yeah, and Scott, you mentioned coming from a world of production home building, where it's a little bit more of a factory to say the least. The houses are pretty much all the same with a couple variables. All of them are going to be ground up new houses. The work that we deal with, every single project is vastly different, not just in terms of the design, but in terms of the actual scope. So we have, large scale additions, small scale additions, whole house remodels, kitchen only remodel. Well, there's no such thing as a kitchen only for us, right? Basements. There's a whole lot of different project types that all have different scheduling models and different sequencing and different levels of, quote unquote, fluffing them. if we have an addition, we have a big window in time to do siding. It's not necessarily critical path for everything. So you have times where you can feed that stuff in, but when you have a basement, everything's pretty much critical path. It all pretty much goes in line. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for the most part.
On that note, what are you guys' favorite project types? Do you like the big, messy additions? Do you like the old houses? What do you think?
For me, honestly, the higher the complexity and a lot of moving parts is where I believe I thrive. You know, I've done so many just simple kitchens and bathrooms, replace in place. They're not gratifying anymore. But when you can have a complex job and work through those challenges, it makes that end of when the customer, you know, when you say, hey, this is the last day we're here, and just to see the happiness, the gratification they have on their face of us handing over their new space to them, that's what does it for me.
Tom, what kind of projects do you like?
I don't mind the I'm trying to think of the Brookfield house. It was just the kitchen that when Bruce was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some pros to that without all the, you know, hiccups and issues. But when you finish a Forbes or a Boehner, a Clark, there is definitely more gratification to it. But
yeah, so those are larger projects. And I think some of those smaller projects, I mean, they just, we don't run into as many of those problems. You know, there aren't as many unforeseens, and we can kind of go through those, and the schedule, you know, almost hits every milestone the way it's supposed to.
Which is what you're striving for on all of them. And when that schedule just rolls through and you don't have everything else that comes with a larger job, it makes you feel like what you did was, you know.
Yeah, takes a little bit longer, takes a little bit more stress. And I think right now, I mean, a good example was the project in Elmhurst last year, 2 years ago. And I mean, we had put a second story addition on a house, and we were landing pieces of steel I've never seen put into a house before. So it's pretty fun to stand there in the front and have a, you know, giant crane with outriggers out there landing the steel when, you know, normally pretty much everything we work with is wood or, you know, small pieces of steel or, you know, micro lam, stuff like that. So yeah, that project was a challenge, but it puts a smile on your face just standing there watching this stuff. And, you know, it's different than going through and doing somebody's basement, but you know, those have their gratification points as well. Like Rob was saying, it's a pretty awesome feeling to be able to, you know, what we do here is usually the most expensive thing a client's going to spend money on is their home. And we're in the remodeling world. So most of these people didn't buy a house that was designed for them. They bought a house that was designed for somebody else at a different point in time. And we're trying to bring that up to make this home fit their family and their needs. And that's, you know, it's corny, but that's a pretty good feeling. That's the American dream we're delivering to these people. So it's, you know, it's a nice perk that goes with this job. At the end of the job, it's not the, you know, the TPS report. It's sticks and bricks and something you can physically see and enjoy.
Speaking of some of the nicer jobs, I want to change gears a little bit here. We have the awards coming up tomorrow night, right?
Yep.
Are you feeling confident that we're going to pull any in this year? And possibly, do you know which jobs?
I have no idea, and I know for anybody that doesn't know, we're historically pretty big winners at the NARI Remodeler of the Year Rodeo Awards, which is a yearly ceremony. So you guys are all looking at a wall that is just covered in trophies. Over the years, it's certainly gotten more and more competitive. More and more great, really good smart design build companies in Chicago are really participating. It's getting pretty cutthroat. So I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous we're not going to win any, but I really don't know. I have no idea. All I know is it was very competitive. And I know there's a conflict of interest as I am president of NARI, but I have nothing to do with the judging. I don't know the results. I don't know anything, but I think we submitted for maybe 6, something like that. And there's a little bit of gamesmanship to the submitting for awards and understanding the right categories and the right way to tell the story, which gets a little tricky because we don't know who else is submitting. So if you're submitting for best kitchen over $250,000, you could be competing with a $20 million kitchen, but we don't know that. And probably the $20 million kitchen is going to be better.
just a smidge.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and that is tomorrow night. So we'll have to, on next week's episode, we'll have to give everyone a award update. And anybody who's a business owner who's listening, or an architect out there who gets a little bit nervous about submitting for awards, just feeling like it's an ego-driven thing, what we've really learned is it really isn't an individual ego thing. It's really a team kind of cultural excitement, because the whole company is so excited and just loves beating other companies in our region. Like, it just feels so great. So I highly recommend or suggest to anybody out there, submit for as many awards as you can, because it's really it's fun for our team, and the year kind of revolves around it in some ways.
Yeah, we kind of spread the wealth when we win those awards. We've got a handful of our team members that are there, and we have them each one go up and grab an award. And yeah, I think my first year here, again, there weren't a whole lot of entries, but it got slightly almost embarrassing because I think there were maybe 12 awards, and we walked up and took like 9 of them.
I think we got 9.
LivCo, and it was like, oh
Yeah.
So not that we don't want to win all 6 this year. But yeah, when you take home more than 3/4 of the awards, it's kind of like, all right, is anybody else participating in this? And now it's become, like Dave said, it's become a lot more challenging. There's a lot more companies that are submitting, and some really, really good work. So it's fun to be there and see some of the competition. I mean, like Dave said, there's a little rivalry there. You see somebody win it, it's like, that wasn't better than our design, or like, wow, that thing really looks awesome. Like that's a home run, So it's fun just to be with your peers and seeing the different awards and the different projects.
Jack, are you going tonight or tomorrow night?
I'm not.
Nope, that's okay.
No, next year.
We'll drag him into
Just
that.
got a suit too. I was ready.
There you go. You can save it for next year.
I got you.
And Jack, kind of circling back to you, because you're 7 months into this world of residential remodeling. Is there any project types or project examples of stuff that you've really enjoyed?
Since I came from building homes, like easy cookie cutter homes, I like additions, because it's almost like building at least a new part of the home. It's almost like building a new home in a way. Big projects are cool. I know there's a lot of moving parts, but additions, I like additions way more. I think I've only done one full addition though, technically, which would be Downers Grove. I think that's my favorite project so far.
It's a big project too.
Yeah.
It's just a garage.
Yeah.
It's truly a garage mahal. Yeah, it has a whole second floor addition above it. Really cool. No, that's awesome. Yeah, what else do you guys want to kind of add from the world of production? What's up next? You guys have a new project starting next week, I believe.
Yeah.
Or this week? Or
Next,
tomorrow?
Lights start at the end of this week, and then we get into full gut next Monday. We just need a little John Hancock on their documents to really push forward and aggressive with it. But that one, it's a big scope, but a very easy scope, and not a lot of complexity to it, But it'll look really cool when we start getting to the finishes and stuff.
We always say not a lot of complexity to it until we get started, and we're like, oh yeah. Every remodel project is complex.
Yeah, there's one areas that I still have my reservations about of where I know some stuff is in the walls. I just don't know exactly where or how we're going to work through it, but I know we'll find a solution one way or the other. But that's the first thing that I'm going to demo actually is just all those areas so we can get things ironed out right away and get everything pushing forward.
And this one has our favorite kind of clients, which are the ones who move out during remodel. So, there's plenty of times when we worked with clients in the home, even ones where it's, really tight and, we become members of the family by the end of the project, it feels like. But when people move out and it's, we've mentioned before, and maybe it's been mentioned on your podcast, the funk chart, we try to, when we sit down with the client, before we start the project, our team sits down and does a pre-construction meeting just to kind of set the expectations and the tone for what, what's going to be happening next and how long the project's going to take. And one of the things we really drive home is that remodeling is very uncomfortable. And there's going to be dust in, your primary bedroom closet that's on that side of the house, and we're doing a basement remodel over here. It doesn't matter. I mean, no matter what we do to try and control some dust and noise, and it's just an uncomfortable process. And, our goal is to identify that and set that expectation and then try to exceed it all the way through and make sure that, the clients think this is going to be as messy and horrible as possible. And if we can, soften that a little bit and make this, as fun of an experience as possible, we can. But when they move out of the house, that kind of helps us not have to, I guess, be as particular about some of those things. So we can let them get out of the house and really kind of take control of everything and not have to work around, kids' schedules going to school or, people trying to use the kitchen. A lot of times we'll set up like a makeshift kitchen for the clients in the basement or something. And it's just, some of that stuff starts to wear on you after a little while. So when clients move out, it definitely makes things a little bit easier on our team and allows us to just kind of focus on the project and kind of hammer down. So,
well, outside of the sticks and bricks world, what are you guys kind of seeing in the world of technology and AI and things of that nature for helping us support the work that you're doing out in the field and managing that?
I haven't found too much, honestly, that that it can utilize. It seems like a lot of the AI is set up for commercial applications where you need cameras and you have to put in a lot of notes. Some of the meeting recaps that's AI generated, that works out very, very well. We're going to start looking into using our software that we use to try to generate some AI reports to our clients. But we're going to do a test run on that first, I think, before we implement that with any of the clients. We want to see exactly what it's going to say, what it's going to deliver before we realize, or before we know that it's going to work out for our needs and for their needs too.
I've noticed everybody's email writing has gotten much better.
Yeah, a lot of less typos and a lot of double M's.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of stuff that kind of continues to come through, and anything that can help add clarity to communication, which is so important in what we do, is valuable. It's just hard to figure out exactly where that is. But Rob, to your point on helping AI generate daily logs, I think the idea is you can walk through with your phone and just do a quick video and say, carpenters did this, now they're going to work on this, and now they're going to do this. Send. It generates essentially a report for the client. So instead of you having to sit down at a desk or in your truck and type something out, you just talking, and then it puts it out, and you don't have to think about it again. Isn't that kind of the idea there?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with these clients who we just said are moving out, they're, a lot of our clients, move out and get a verbo or live with a parent or something, so a lot of times they're pretty close. These clients would be an hour away for most of this project. So we do a weekly project status meeting with our clients on the job site. We aim to try and get them on the job site every week so they can feel like they're part of the build team. We can kind of walk through any issues that we've uncovered, any sort of change orders, stuff like that, and also give them an up to date. This is who's going to be in here this week. This is who's going to be in here next week. Our substantial completion date is still in line with where we've been targeting. But with this client not being in town, we thought this would be a good advantage to try this feature out. So, like you're saying, we're going to kind of have to ramp up a little bit of our picture taking and our daily logs, job reports, because all of that stuff is what feeds this AI generator on the site. And then it's going to be some, proofreading of whatever comes out, which I think everybody's realized you have to do with anything you feed to AI is you definitely need to go back and back check everything and make sure it's accurate and it's relaying the message that you're looking to relay. So.
Yeah, and in this world of constant communication, it is something that we've struggled with really solving. How much information is too much information? Our clients are busy; they're dealing with their kids, they're dealing with work. We don't need to barrage them with constant group texts about what's going on at every second. So finding that balance, I think, is kind of the idea, where you have a cadence to when you're going to get reports is the idea. And just an overall reinforcement that this is a hard thing, I think, to reinforce with all people, myself included, who needs my HVAC repairman to get here, and I still haven't heard from him. That doesn't mean that he's not thinking about it and working through when he's going to get here. He just hasn't given me an answer yet. So one thing that we're always trying to figure out and communicate with the clients, and one of the reasons we do our weekly on-site review meeting with them, is that I promise you, this team right here that I'm talking to is thinking about, talking about, and planning and trying to get ahead and making sure all those things are happening on an hourly basis for your project. I promise you, there's never a time where a production team is going to sleep and not having that stuff being calculated in their head. Like, that's just kind of the nature of what we do, right? It's like, is that fair to say?
You hit on the head.
I think you managed to squeeze in another one of our core values with communicate constantly.
Yes. Hey, look at that. I'm just blowing through them. Well, we're kind of at time here. I know you guys have to get back to it. I just want to close because there's a couple different topics or themes we feathered into here, but we know that there's a looming housing crisis, or housing crisis is already here. There's a labor shortage, there's inflation, there's tariffs, there's all this other stuff. From a labor shortage perspective, we need more people in the trades. We need more people involved in construction, and really are going to drive this, because at the end of the day, as I've said it before, and I heard it from somebody else, AI can't do plumbing because water and AI do not mix. So there's going to always be a need for humans involved in this thing that we call construction. Any kind of words of advice or thoughts for young people who may be listening that are like, I'd like to get into a world of construction, where do you start? Or do you just want to say, run for the hills? I'm just curious anybody's thoughts there.
It can be a really good career if they stick with it and work hard and just try to always improve themselves. I know a lot of guys who started out in the trades right out of high school, as myself, and whether if they do the work or if they're managing, it can be rewarding. Especially if you get in the union, it could definitely set you up for retirement. Plus the experience as well. That you're not relying on to hire somebody to do all those things for yourself when you finally get to that home ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I chime in there, I think, Rob and I came from, Tom, I guess, as well, and you, Dave, a generation where I think a lot of us were the first generation to go to college. Our parents, it wasn't prevalent that everybody went to college. And so our parents, by hell or high water, were going to make sure we were going to college after high school. in that mentality, I think kind of put the trades in a bad light. So I think, if you left high school and you became a plumber or a carpenter, you kind of, weren't succeeding, or you might have been deemed a loser or something. You're not going to college. And after working in this world, I mean, that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, those are great, respectable jobs, and the world needs them. And now we're at a point where that generation that didn't go into those trades leads us struggling to find people to do our work. So, a lot of the people didn't go into those trades unless their dad was a plumber and owned the plumbing shop or something, and now they became a plumber. Where now I think you're seeing that pendulum shift. College is getting super expensive, and a lot of these people are looking at it going, I can become a pipe fitter or a carpenter and make great money and, earn an honest living. Like Rob said, if you're in a union here, we're a strong union town in Chicago. You're going to walk away with a great benefits package, a great pension. So I think that the pendulum's starting to swing a little bit, and we're starting to see a little bit more of the younger generation that's getting back involved in trades. And
plus, I think they're starting to see that it's job security, because it's highly desired as far as a need for these people. I know in California, there's actually a shift of high school graduates going to the trade schools and apprenticeship programs, because they know that, after they're done with that 4 years, like a lot of the tech jobs, what has happened to somebody who wanted to get in cybersecurity 4 years ago, by the time they graduate now, AI has just replaced them. So now everything that they just studied for is no longer being desired. So a lot of the kids are making that shift for that job security, with the anticipation that they can make a decent, honest living out of it.
As I say, our electrician just posted something on social media the other day on how the need for electricians is going to spike because of all these data centers going up, and somebody needs to wire them. And so that's part of that AI world. That's,
That reminds me, I got to have Steve on as a guest. Keep forgetting.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Oh yeah. Well, Tom and Jack.
Time frame.
Yeah, Tom and Jack. I'm kind of curious you guys' thoughts. Just Tom, you've been in construction, your whole career. Jack, you're young in your career. What are your kind of thoughts on the future? What would you tell kids in terms of getting involved in construction?
I think, along with what Rob was saying, right now it's a good course to go, with so many jobs being eliminated, like you said, by AI, which construction jobs will always be there. It's been good to me. I started from digging holes and moving lumber to, where I'm at now. So
moving lumber and filling holes.
I'm not saying I never do that.
We all do it.
But I used to do it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So
right.
I wish I got a little time, just a couple of years in the trades before I started doing this. Just a little bit. I know I'm in school now. I'm learning to be a project manager, but sometimes every couple of days I'm like, I regret maybe sometimes going to a trade, not just for the experience, but also, actually mainly for the experience. And also the pay. I know a lot of guys now. Some of my best friends went to trades right out of high school, and I feel like maybe 5-6 years ago, it was kind of talked down. I knew a lot of people were like, "You're not going to college. You're going straight to trades." And now I know a lot of those guys, and we're making really good money. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. I think it's a good thing to do. I think that
that's the one benefit of remodeling, and what we do is we are exposed to all of those trades, and the amount of complexity and the problems that we have to solve, which is a whole different animal than production building. So you'll get your experience in a different way.
Trust me, I know. I've been hanging out with Denny a lot recently.
Trying to give him some hands-on stuff.
I'd say, yeah, he's He's been doing good.
Denny would have been a treat to have on here because Denny's done pretty much every job on the planet, I think.
Yeah.
I hear a new story about him every single day that I can't believe because I've been hanging out with him a lot recently, and he's a character for sure.
He's driving trucks at some point. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
He was shoeing horses.
He was a blacksmith. Guys, this is awesome. This is really cool. We'll have to do this again. Thanks for calling the audible, Rob. It's really fun to hear from everybody. Let y'all get back to it. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for everything that you do. I know it is not easy out there, especially in the winter. And our, humans in Chicago are probably crankiest in February, so we're already preparing for that. That's climate trades and us. So appreciate you guys dealing with the construction element as well as the human element and making that all come together so beautifully. It really is beautiful to see. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on, Dave.
All right, guys, enjoy the day. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Take care.